We are here today in French Polynesia, back on the beautiful island of Moorea. We are here at the Sofitel Moorea Beach Resort, and we're so excited to give you a rundown of our review.
Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Max.
I'm Marin.
And we're Voyager Guru. We post weekly videos with hotel reviews, travel tips, and videos from some of our favorite destinations around the world. So if you don't already, consider subscribing. And if you like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up, leave us some feedback in the comments below. So let's jump right into the review.
Our first category is location, and location we rate 5 stars. This is just one of our favorite islands in the entire world, and the Sofitel has a beautiful location right on a pristine lagoon, and it's only about 5 to 6 minutes from the ferry, so it's quick, it's easy to get here, and it's only about 30 minutes from the capital of Papeete.
Yeah, so the first time we came here was about 2 years ago, and we just fell in love with the island of Moorea. We've stayed at a number of the hotels on the island, we've stayed at some of the guest houses, and it's so beautiful, it's so unique. It has these pristine lagoons, and the Sofitel in particular has one of the nicest lagoons on the island. It has a really deep kind of aquamarine color, and that just, it's almost like it gives off its own light. So really, in terms of location, it's hard to beat where the Sofitel is located. It has an outstanding view, outstanding overwater huts, and it just looks over at the beautiful island of Tahiti. It's all around, the location is
exceptional.
Yeah, truly exceptional.
Yeah, and at nighttime, the Tahiti lights twinkle in the background, so when you're sitting at dinner, it's not like you're looking off into darkness. There's just this beautiful glow of the island.
And there's actually only a few properties on the island of Moorea that have overwater huts, and so this is one of probably only about, I'd say, 3 to 4 properties that have overwater huts on the island of Moorea, and so it's really nice to be able to kind of have that experience here, which is much closer, only about a 30-minute ferry ride away from Tahiti, rather than having to go to some of the further islands like Bora Bora and such.
Yeah, and the ferry only costs about $25, so while you can consider flying, I'm pretty sure the plane goes up and you can count how many seconds it takes before it starts coming down, and it's a lot cheaper to take the ferry.
So our second category is lobby and check-in.
Lobby and check-in we rate 4 stars. We arrived around 1 o'clock or so, and the lobby actually looked a lot different than last time we were here. Last time they were celebrating Chinese New Year, and this time the lobby was more tropical. It was actually a really pleasant experience coming back to that lobby.
Yeah, the lobby is nice. It's not completely, overwhelming or grandiose. It does have kind of a nice beachy island feel. They have some cool kind of Polynesian decorations that are spread throughout, including a really cool backdrop behind the check-in desk that's done with oyster shells, and so that's pretty unique.
Yeah, and the check-in experience was nice. There were a lot of people in the lobby, and last time we were seated to check in, and it was kind of a very nice flowing experience, but this time it was a little bit chaotic as people were checking in and out at the same time, but we were offered mango juice and cold towels that smelled so nice.
Yeah, and our room wasn't available yet, so they were nice enough to also give us 2 free drinks at the bar, so that was really a nice touch just because our room wasn't ready.
And that wasn't just us. I saw this happen to a number of people over the course of the time we were here. So it looks like if you show up a little bit early, you get a couple free drinks.
One thing to note though was at lobby and check-in, they didn't do a very good job about notifying us about some of the things that were going on property. Most notably, construction. On the huts, on the overwater huts where we were staying on a first night, they did have construction that was going on literally 2 huts down from us. Replacing roofs, lots of noise and banging,
sanding,
sanding pretty much the entire day from sunup to sundown. And so it was very loud, and typically a hotel will notify you in advance of that type of occurrence. But in this case, we had no notice. We talked to other guests on property. They also had no notice of it. So our third category is rooms.
Rooms we rate 4 stars. We've seen 2 different room types this stay, one of which is the luxury overwater with the horizon view, which is technically their highest suite category. It overlooks more outward facing rather than looking at the other overwater huts. Their other categories in the overwater rooms are luxury overwater, standard view, as well as superior overwater, which are smaller, have a slightly different bathroom and configuration, and no glass floor. The second room we were in for the other 2 nights is the luxury garden view bungalow. Much to our surprise, it was actually the same exact layout as the luxury overwater bungalow, which was really nice because that's pretty much a carbon copy of the room, just on land instead.
Yeah, it didn't have the little cutout for fish in the floor, but that's obviously because it was on land. One thing we did note, because we had stayed at this property before, was the rooms were basically about the same. It did seem like things had aged in the last couple of years though, and one thing that we noticed was the first room that we were checked into had the big beautiful canopy that they have, kind of like a mosquito netting type thing, which was really luxurious. It looks like in other rooms, because we then did visit a couple other rooms after that, they had removed those canopies. I don't know if they intend on bringing them back or if it's just completely removed. So there's certain kind of weird inconsistencies that seem to go in between the rooms.
And given the difference and slight inconsistencies in the room, as well as the location of the rooms, if you are a little bit on the pickier side, like we are, I would highly recommend reaching out to the hotel in advance and making sure you get your requests in to make sure you get the room that you want. Because it is a little bit tricky and difficult to deal with that when you do show up to a hotel, and we think that about every hotel. So if you ever have preferences, you have to let them know as much as possible. One thing worth mentioning is that if you do book one of the higher room categories, the second highest, which is the luxury over water, there are 1, 2, maybe 3 of those bungalows that do face in towards the shore. It's much shallower. It's not quite the lagoon view that you might be expecting.
Yeah, and they'll say a lot of things are lagoon view, even if they're facing inward. So be sure to just be specific, and if you have certain preferences, make sure to say those in advance, because obviously once you're here, it's a little bit harder to move things around. Our fourth category is service.
Service we rate 3.5 stars. People in French Polynesia are some of our favorite people in the world, and they are so nice, and they just are like the sweetest, kindest people in the world. However, when it comes to service, I wouldn't call it 5 stars.
Unfortunately, the service here really came down to poor training. It seemed like there were just, again, a lot of inconsistencies. On the first night, the turn down service ended up not actually happening. Somebody came in and closed our curtains, but no other part of turn down was done. There were other inconsistencies that happened as the stay went on. At one point, our bathrobes disappeared. Just a couple things, I think, with housekeeping that were a little bit weird. And then also, there were a number of events that occurred while we were here. There was a race, boats, there was also kind of like a 2K race, and those happened both on the property and close to the property. And one of them was like really right in front of the beach huts, and for certain guests who had those beach huts, it was pretty obtrusive. I mean, it was like right in front of it. There was really not a lot of notice until like the day of that this was occurring. That same day, a wedding also happened, which shut down the bar and the main restaurant. A lot of things that they could have done to maybe provide a shuttle service to some of the neighboring restaurants. That way guests had an opportunity if they hadn't rented a car or didn't want to pay for a taxi, because on these islands, taxis are quite expensive. There's definitely things that could have been done, I think, to improve that experience for all the guests. Our fifth category is dining.
Dining, we rate 3.5 stars. Last time we were here, dining was the highlight of our stay. Everything from breakfast and the flakiest croissants you've ever seen to the beautiful dinner at K Restaurant, which is that expensive fine dining restaurant. It was outstanding. And we're sad to say we were kind of disappointed this time around.
Yeah, it was a little bit unfortunate. You know, we had really looked forward to coming back to this property. Reason being the food. The experience we had last time, as Marin said, at K Restaurant, having a full 8-course meal, just enjoying the ambiance of that restaurant. Even the breakfast every morning, the croissants were so good and rich. They had fresh squeezed orange juice.
Oh, and green juice.
And green juice and things like that. This time around, a lot of those things were gone. The squeezed orange juice wasn't there. The croissants were completely different. The quality of the bread was not as good. There were a lot of inconsistencies about what was available each day. Some days they had pineapple jam, which is made here on the island in Moorea. Other days they didn't have any of that stuff anymore. And frankly, a lot of the food that we had at the main restaurant, Pure, really wasn't up to the quality that we had hoped it had been based on our previous experience. Maybe there's some transitions. Right now we're in what they're calling kind of an extended high season. So the staff does seem maybe like they're in flux or maybe in a little bit of an interchange. I'm hoping that as things kind of progress, that's something that they can kind of bring back up. Maybe they have a lot going on with renovations of the rooms, and so we really hope that the food gets back up to par on where it was, because both last time and this time, I mean, the guests that we spoke to last time, food was what everybody was raving about, and this time I think people were significantly less enthusiastic about the food. Our sixth category is facilities.
Facilities, we rate 3.5 stars. We mentioned the location is absolutely 5 stars. It's the perfect lagoon, and they do have a lot of facilities that are awesome. They offer 1 free hour of paddleboarding or kayaking. They have a beautiful spa. We haven't tried it, but it does look beautiful. However, they're lacking certain basic amenities like a fitness center.
And notably, a lot of the things that they do have, as Maren mentioned, the paddle boards and some of the water activities, the conditioning equipment is really lacking. I mean, the boards have holes in them, they're missing rubber, they don't look like something fun to take out, it doesn't really have that great experience. The other thing is that if you look at the beach, there's certain areas of the beach where literally there is not one single beach chair that matches. It's kind of a representation of a lot of things that we've seen on this property, where there's just kind of a lack of attention to detail. Even things that are in the rooms or in the restaurant, receiving two different types of glasses. So there's just a lot of things like that I think that things seem to be a little bit in disarray. And I think for a resort that is meant to be a 5-star experience, it's really something that they need to work on.
Yeah, candidly, when you're looking at a 5-star resort, you expect certain things to just be 5-star. There are just certain basic 5-star things that are lacking, and we hope they do improve.
So our final category is style.
Style, we rate 4 stars. Overall, this property has great bones. I mean, everything is so Polynesian. The windows open up and are super airy. The thatched roofs are beautiful. The newly done exterior walls are beautifully done. The grounds are absolutely stunning. And there are really good bones. It's just that consistency is missing in furnishings, in TVs, in curtains, and other things. Like the bedspreads are often lacking top sheets. All of these things, the lack of attention to detail, really adds up to more of a 4-star style for us. Overall, we rate this hotel 3.9 stars. And it's not to say we don't love this hotel. We absolutely love the property, we love the lagoon, we love the Sofitel Moorea brand. There's just certain things that were missing from us this time around that we were really disappointed to see, including that food and beverage, including all the events that were happening and how service dealt with that. And if management turns things around and the food and beverage program comes back to life, we're just really excited to see that happen and come back again.
Yeah, as we said, it's an absolute 5-star location. It's got incredible bones. It has great style. It has this really Polynesian feel. This hotel is unlike really any other that's available. And so we're super excited to come back here. We're just really looking forward to having some of the great things that we had previously come back to life in this hotel.
And overall, we love this island. Everybody should come here, so check out our other videos about Moorea and things to do here.
So if you found this review helpful, make sure to hit the thumbs up and leave us some questions or feedback in the comments below. We always love to have your questions and see what you think of the hotel. If you stayed here, let us know. We run into a lot of people who have been coming back here for almost 15 years, right? Back every year. And so it's always great to hear from other people what their experience is, what they think. And if you don't already, be sure to subscribe. So hit that subscribe button right here in the corner. Also, if you want to check out the written review, we've linked it in the description below. It's on our blog at voyagerguru.com. And you can check out our photos on our Instagram at voyagerguru.
As always, I'm Maren.
And I'm Max.
And we're Voyager Guru. See you next time.